Hey guys, welcome to 12 weeks of home ownership series. I am super excited that you all chose to partner up and get all of this amazing information. My name is Tamara Easley and I'll be the host for the next 12 weeks. It's like 12 weeks of Christmas, but it's 12 weeks of home ownership. And I want you all to make sure that you are taking notes, that you are getting all of the emails. Make sure that you add me to your contacts so I'm not going to your spam or your promotions in your email list, so you can make sure that you are getting the goods. So let's dive right into it. Before I give you all the information, I want to tell you all a little bit about who you all are signed up with. Like I said, my name is Tamara Easley, and I've been a realtor for a little under 2 years. I know, crazy, but no worries. I have helped over a dozen families in that short period of time, and I have crossed over $6 million in sales, and I am a student first. So I have a lot of information, and I know that there is so much information out here, and I don't want you to confuse the information from clickbait just to get you to click stuff, and then it's all this false information. So I'm going to give you the real. I'm going to tell you how it is. I am a no fluff realtor. Like I tell all of my clients, I can't remember fluff. I don't do fluff. I will tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. But we're going to go through this process, and you are going to be well informed at the end of this 12-week series to be able to make a decision for you. All right, so let's get right into it. I became a realtor because of bad information. All right, so there's a lot of bad information out here. There's a lot of bad realtors out here. There's a lot of misleading information. I saw so many things happening under my own eyes from when I was not a realtor that I said, listen, I need to jump in the game so that I can help my people out. And so this is what I'm here to do, to help you out. So I purchased my first home when I was 25 years old. And I just purchased a home because that's what somebody told me to do. Nobody in my family had done it before at the time. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just trusting everything that my realtor was saying. And I really wasn't going with my gut. And social media wasn't what it is today. The information wasn't, I don't feel as readily available as it is today. This was, again, over 15 years ago. I know I'm dating myself. That's fine. But the great thing is that because of that experience, I learned so much in that experience. My second home I purchased when I was 27. That was a new construction home. And my third home was a complete gut. And all the things that I've learned over these past 15 years of being indirectly involved in real estate is what is making me a better realtor today. And so like I said, I'm here to give you all the goods so that you all can get this information. So what is the 12-week to home ownership series? The 12-week to home ownership series is to better equip you to be able to be more knowledgeable in making a home purchase and starting that generational wealth. So in any case, we're going to jump right into it. The process of owning a home, it can be overwhelming. I am going to give you the information from step 1 to step 10, as I say, the 10 steps to home ownership. And it is going to seem like a lot of information, but don't get overwhelmed. We're going to go through this information week by week, and you're able to, DM us and ask us questions and all those things, and we'll go live when we answer those questions as well. So the first step, I know you've heard it before, get a lender or talk to a realtor. Some people say, which one do I do first? You do whichever one you're most comfortable with first. Let me tell you why. Or do them both simultaneously. Because a realtor has a preferred lender, and some lenders have preferred realtors. And so if you're more comfortable talking to a lender first, then talk to that lender and see who they recommend as a realtor. If you're more comfortable reaching out to a realtor first, then they will recommend you to their preferred lender. Why is it preferred per se? It's preferred because they know that lenders or that realtor's process. They know their cell phone number, they know their work ethic, they know how they run, they know how they work their business, they can contact them, the communication is there. And let me tell you, that is the number one thing that's so important in the transaction is the communication piece. You want to make sure that all parties are communicating well. And listen, if you prefer to go with a local credit union, or you want to go with a bank, or you want to go with the 1-800, whomever, that is fine. It is your money. It is your choice to go with whomever you would like to go with. However, just know that there may be some processes that may be delayed, or some communication that may not be all the way there, because they're not working in sync with each other, They haven't worked together before. They may not know, all of their information to be able to kind of make it as seamless as possible, which we love to do. All right, so that is the first step. So reach out to one of those people so that they can refer you to their preferred person, so that you are in sync with a team that has worked together before, that has had success, and they're able to make sure that you get to the closing table. All right. With that being said, with that team, you want to make sure that you are getting your documents together. Get your documents ready. Most of those documents include your past 2 years tax returns, your past 2 months of your bank statements, your past 2 pay stubs, right? If you have any retirements, whether that's 401k, Roth IRAs, you want to make sure that you get those together. If you have any assets, if you have any stocks, right? If you own any previous properties, you want to get all those documents together, because those are the things that the lender is going to ask for in order to qualify you for this loan. After you get pre-approved, you're going to get a letter from the lender. The lender is going to give you a maximum amount that you are able to spend. They should be able to give you numbers of what your estimated closing costs are going to be. They should be able to give you what your anticipated interest rate is going to be, so that you can know all your numbers that you're working with, what your monthly mortgage is going to be, what your principal and interest. Now, they can't give you exactly what your taxes and insurance is going to be, but they can give you an estimate based on the county and the price point that you're looking to be in. For example, in this area, if you're looking to purchase in Prince George's County, your taxes are going to be higher than if you were going to purchase in Washington, D.C. So you want to talk with your lender about what areas you're looking into purchase, so that they can give you an estimate of what those taxes are going to be for that particular area. You have the choice to be able to get 2 comparisons from 2 lenders, so that you can compare and contrast, right? What are those lender fees? What are those appraisal fees? Those are things that are going to be different from each lender. So you can go with one lender and just go with what they give you, but you do have the option at the end of the day to get information from 2 lenders, so that you can choose which lender may be best for you. You want to make sure that you forward a copy of that pre-approval letter to your realtor, so that your realtor has that information. Now, I will tell you, just because you are approved for that amount does not mean you have to spend it. All right, my first home, I spent every single penny I was pre-approved for. All right, you do not have to do that. You want to make sure that the numbers work for you. So if you're approved for $500,000, you should be able to take a look and see what the numbers are for $450,000, for $400,000, for $350,000, so that you can determine what is an amount that you're comfortable with spending every single month. Don't spend it just because you are approved for it. We do not want you to be house poor. We do not want you to be cash poor, because you do have to make sure that you have reserves. You want to make sure that you have things taken care of down the line if something does come up. All right, so I did want to say that. Step 3, going to look at houses. This is the exciting part, right? This is the time. This is what you've been waiting for, to go take a look at homes. Now, going to look at homes can be exciting. It can be a little frustrating, and it can be a little overwhelming. If you are enrolled in this course, because this course, this series will be available on multiple media channels, but if you are enrolled in the course, you will get access to checklists and things like that to make your process easier or more simpler for you. But what I will say is, rate each house 1 through 10 every single time you see a house. Because what's going to happen is, once you start seeing 5 and 6 and 7 homes, it's going to start to be a blur. You're going to have to know what your non-negotiables are, but also be flexible, and you're open and but also be flexible and open to the suggestions that your realtor may give you. I'm not saying that you're going to sacrifice, but you may have to compromise, right? This is your first home. You don't have to stay in it forever. It does not have to be your dream home. We just want to get you in the door so that you can start to build that equity in your home and do whatever it is that you choose to do with it at the end of the day. But rate your homes. In addition to that, you want to make sure that you note things that you can't change. You can't change the location, right? You can't change the size of a lot. So if you know that you want a 1/4 acre or 1/2 acre of land, then you shouldn't even be looking at homes that are 0.10 or in certain areas where you aren't going to get that amount of land if that is something that you want to do. Now, the size of the home, you want to make sure that you take a look at that as well and make sure that it's fitting your needs for now and the next 3 to 5 years. Yes, you can always add an addition to a home, but it can get pretty hefty and expensive by adding that addition. So looking at those 3 things are going to be very important when you're going to look for a home. Now, when you're going to go look out at these homes, know that these homes, you're going to send, listen, I get it. You're excited. You're going to send these homes to your friends, to your family. And guess what? Everybody has an opinion. But also, guess what? Nobody else is paying the mortgage except you. So you can send it to people, you can get excited and all those things, but make sure at the end of the day it's something that you want because you are the one who is paying the mortgage every single month. Also note small things, some things that may not seem like something that you would notice initially, but for example, if you know that you want sidewalks in your neighborhood, some communities in certain areas don't have sidewalks. If you know that you like to take walks, you may not want to drive to the nearest trail. You want to be able to walk on the sidewalk or walk on the trail in your backyard if that's something that's important to you. Also know if you want HOA fees, right? Do you want a community that is governed by a group of people of what you can and cannot do for the outside appearance of your home? Or do you want something where it's just free for all and you can do whatever it is that you want and you don't want to have to ask anybody if you want black windows versus white windows or if you want a modern door versus a traditional door? So those things are going to be important because again, those things are adding on to what you're paying every single month if you do move into a community that does have an HOA. Step 4, choosing a home. Now, once you've chosen the home, this is a step that a lot of people miss. You want to send that home to the lender. Why are you sending that home to the lender? Because you want the exact numbers. Remember at the beginning, the lender gave you an estimate for what your mortgage would be as far as your principal, your interest, your taxes, and insurance. But now, since you have a specific home in mind, that lender can run exact numbers so that you can know what your mortgage is. What if the interest rate has changed since the last time that lender gave you an estimate? What if they didn't calculate homeowners association fees and now you've moved into a community with $250 a month in homeowners association fees because you want to now live on a golf course in a gated community, right? So you want to make sure that you send that home to the lender so that the lender can give you the exact numbers. Also, you want to know what counties have higher taxes. Some counties have higher taxes because they have better school districts, and some counties have higher taxes and no one knows why they have higher taxes. The taxes are just higher. Make sure that you take all that into account when you are looking at the homes that you want to purchase. All right, step 6. It is time to submit an offer. Nervous? You should be, but you should also be excited. Listen, your realtor should sit down with you. Your realtor should sit down with you and go over those numbers of what it is of an offer that you are going to make. We can make suggestions as a realtor, but at no point should someone necessarily tell you the number that you should do. There can be a range. There should be reasons and explanations of why they're choosing this number that's backed by data, right? That they're choosing this range. And you have to choose as the buyer what number you are comfortable with. Now you can ask your realtor what number you think will win us the contract, or what is a strong number, but you have to feel comfortable with that number. It is your money at the end of the day, and probably the biggest transaction to date that you have had. So you want to make sure, again, that you are comfortable, and it's okay to be nervous and comfortable at the same time with the number that you're submitting to purchase this home. Now, when you do go in and you offer and you make this offer for the purchase of the home, there are a couple of different dates that are in mind. Remember, this is a legally binding document. This is not something that you can just change your mind on. There are certain dates where you are able to get out of the contract, but the realtor should let you know that as well as you're going over this in detail. Now, if you want to sign it blindly, that's great because you don't have time to look over the contract, but I would highly suggest that you sit down and you take the time to go through the contract with your realtor so that you can understand the process and how it is going to go. Step 7, boom, you won the contract. It may be that easy. You may not win your first one. Just story time. My first home, I went through at least 7 to 8, maybe 10 contracts. The first couple, I didn't win. The next couple, I won, but the inspection scared me, and so I ran and didn't go through with it. So you may not win your first contract of the house that you want, right? And it can be an emotional process. At the end of the day, this is a transactional process, and it is an investment for yourself and for your family, but I know that it can be emotional. But we're going to try and manage our emotions. We're going to try and keep the emotional roller coaster, as I say, down to a minimum. But I get it. But let's just say you've won that first contract. What happens now? If the realtor did what they were supposed to do and you all got together and went over this contract in detail, there are certain dates that are very, very, very important on that contract. The first date is the date that you have to apply for the loan. Now you may be saying, Tamara, I've already got a pre-approval. I talked to the lender. I sent them the numbers. Like, we should be good to go. Kinda, sorta. You still have to apply for the loan, which is why your realtor and your lender will tell you, please don't apply for any new lines of credit. Please don't change jobs. Please don't change your hours. Please don't deposit cash into your account. Like, all these things that they do not want you to do once you get a pre-approval, because your pre-approval is based on the profile that they saw at that moment. If anything changes to that profile from the time that you actually apply for this loan, and you don't apply for the loan until you actually win a contract on a home, that can then make them not give you the commitment to finance that home because something has changed. So anytime you want to do anything, I always tell my buyers, if anything requires your signature or one digit of your social security number, don't do it from the time that you get a pre-approval. If you want to go on vacation, have somebody else pay for it, you pay them back after you get the keys to your house. Like, just don't make anything that can look any kind of way, because we want this to be as smooth as possible. So the first date is the date that you have to apply for the loan. You have to apply for the loan with an address, which is the address of the contract that you just won. The other date is called your earnest money deposit date. This is usually 1 to 2 days after you get a contract accepted. In some states, however, your earnest money deposit, or EMD for short, is due when you actually submit a contract before you even win it. In my area, we can actually hold the EMD until after a contract is accepted, and then we submit it to the title company. Now, what is an EMD? An earnest money deposit is what you're showing to the seller of how serious you are with this actual purchase. The EMD is usually around, at minimum, 1% of the purchase price of the home. So if the purchase price of your home is $500,000, your EMD is going to be $5,000. You are going to write a check, or you're going to wire $5,000 to the title company. In different states, the realtor may be able to hold it, or you send it to the attorney's office. But nonetheless, you send this $5,000 somewhere, and somebody holds this money. And they're holding that money because, again, of the dates that are in that contract. So if you default on any of those dates that are within that contract, that seller can take your earnest money deposit, which is why it's important to go over those dates with your realtor. Now, the third date that is in that contract is what I like to call your due diligence date, or what we call your inspection time. Now, your inspection time could be 1, 3, 5, or 7 days, depending upon how competitive your offer is going to be. But that is the time that you have to inspect the property. Now, you can inspect the property for termites. You can inspect the property for radon. You can inspect the property if it has a pool. You can inspect the chimney if you want to. If it's on septic, you can inspect the septic tank system. There are all these things that you can inspect during your due diligence time. So that is the time that you can get out of that contract for whatever reason that you don't like. Now, what I will tell you is that an inspector will find something, but we'll get into that on the next step. But that due diligence date is something that's really important that you want to pay attention to. The next date is the appraisal date and the written finance commitment date. The bank has a certain amount of time to say that they're going to commit this financing to you. So during all this time, from the time that you get the contract accepted to the time that you go to closing, there's a window in there. Usually it's 21 to 30 days. During that time, they're collecting more documents from you. They're collecting updated documents from you. You're going to feel like they're collecting your blood at this point, all these documents that they want to collect. But they're going to be collecting all these documents from you in that time period. And within that time period is what they're trying to analyze if they're going to commit to finance. Now, most of the time, everything goes fine unless you've done something haywire and they won't commit to finance. Now, you can get out of the contract for that if the bank doesn't commit to finance, but that is within a time period, within a certain amount of days that is also on the contract. Then you have an appraisal contingency date. That appraisal contingency, just think of it like this. The bank is not going to give you money for a home if an appraiser does not say it's worth this amount. If it is less than that, then you have to go back to the table and determine the price of the home with the seller. And if it's more than that, then great, you've walked into your home with equity. You don't have to pay up to the appraised amount. The inspector will find something. You've just paid the inspector almost $500, and their job is to find something. Their job is to show you and let you know what is the lifespan of the appliances that are in the home, whether that's small appliances or larger appliances such as your HVAC system. But they're going to show you and tell you exactly what it is in the home, as far as the foundation of the home and the status of the home, for you to determine if you want to move forward with this home. All right, step 8, the waiting period. No news is good news. All right, so when we are in the process after your contract's been accepted, you've submitted everything to the loan officer, we're just waiting now. But what are we waiting for? The title company is making sure there's no liens on the house. The loan officer, again, is getting more documents from you, and we are in a waiting period. That waiting period can last a couple of weeks. During that time, we're also waiting for the appraisal to come back because it takes a while for that report to come. And again, no news is good news. Step 9 is that loan commitment, that period of time that we're able to get that loan commitment from the lender. The lender has all your documents. You are now able to get a clear to close. Clear to close is music to your ears. All right, this is because you haven't changed anything with your profile. We've continued on. You've opted out of looking at other houses. Save yourself that trouble and just don't even start to look at other houses, because you're in escrow, as we call it, under contract with the home that you've already put a contract in on. And we have a clear to close. So now we're waiting for your date. We're good to go for you to close on your home. The time, that can change, but for the most part, you're done. And that may seem like a lot of information. And the most parts of it is really when you are under contract. I really want you to understand those contingencies that are all within that. But we're going to go through all this in more detail throughout our 12 weeks of home ownership. Do not get overwhelmed. Stick with me, and I'm going to stick with you. Next week, our topic is Lending 101 with Amy Menace, and she's going to break down lending to you. And so we're super excited to have you enrolled. Look out for your inbox so that you can get all the documents that goes with this week's series, that goes with this week's video. And we'll go from there. So I look forward to helping you all towards home ownership. And if you have any questions, you all know how to contact me. Talk to you all later.